getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and buckle up for tonight's presentation of Sim Racers Group Formula 4 on SMB. JR Gregory here with you on the call, along with my partner Kennen Miller and our producer Joshua Wilkie. And week 11 takes us back to Italy and Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. This track is located in northern Italy on the Adriatic Sea. The first race was held here back in 1972. Current home to Grand Prix motorcycles, along with GT World Challenge, TCR Europe, past host to DTM and Formula 3. Tonight's configuration is 2.6 miles, 4.2 clicks, 16 corners. Current track record of 120.042 was set by a Formula Renault car. And Kennen, I feel like this track is one of the little known offerings on iRacing service, probably mostly due to the fact that really no big series compete here. Nobody's probably seen a telecast race here, so I'm guessing that a lot of our drivers, along with myself, might be seeing this place for the first time. So what do we expect as these F3, F4 drivers come to grips with this long and fast circuit?
Yeah, JR, you hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. It's what a lot of people would consider, and it really is. It's a motorcycle track. It's very tight, it's twisty, it's curvy, but the surface is super smooth. It's going to require a lot of precision, rhythm, and tire management out of these Formula 4 cars. But I do think a Formula 4 car is really well built to compete at this circuit, and we're going to see some really good racing. It's obviously very high. There's 16 corners, so there's a lot of opportunities to make or lose time. But with the high grip that we have on such a really flawless and smooth circuit, just the curving, everything you see on board with David Hirsch right now, it really just shows that that is just brand new surface. The curves look freshly painted. Everything about it just seems pristine, and I think it's going to allow the opportunity for drivers to maximize everything they can out of these Formula 4 race cars.
Yeah, should be a good one. And taking a look at the track map, I'm kind of curious about that run from turn 10 down into turn 13. There's a couple little kinks in there, but with the mechanical grip and the aerodynamic downforce of these F4 cars, they may not be slowing much there. So we could have essentially a very, very long back straightaway with some slipstream action and some contested entries into turn 13. So we're going to be learning this track along with our audience, I'm guessing, and along with some of these drivers. As I said, I won't call it obscure, but I won't say it's used an awful lot. And see the production magic happening there as we get ready to get underway. About 6 minutes remaining now in our 1 hour practice session. As we said right now, it is Edgar Lau from James McDonald, from David Hirsch, from Novice, from Borden. And I'm looking at the top 7 cars all covered by about 8/10 of a second.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right on turn 10. I think my biggest corner for me is turn 4 because there's such a build-up out of turn 3 and how you hit that late apex. It can really allow for good passing opportunity. But turn 10, also known as the Carbone, it really requires a lot of early commitment, and you've got to trust the grip. I think with the weather conditions today, it's about 66 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a little high in humidity, but with this kind of surface, it's really not going to overly affect the way the race car handles. I think you're going to be able to push really hard, and I think you do have a really good point, JR. Turns 10 and leading into 11 and 12 may be where you see a lot of action tonight.
Yeah, and looking at the map as well, you mentioned turn 4. That kind of leads into a complicated combo 4, 5, and 6. And looks like the exit of turn 6 might be critical as well to get a good run down another kind of short straightaway into a tight corner. So the story of this track is going to be blast down 1, 2, 3, 4 straightaways really into tight corners. So I think you're right about the tire wear. These drivers are going to have to be careful about how they manage these tires. They're going to have to be patient putting the power down, particularly out of these low speed corners, as is often the case. So it should be an interesting one here, and about 4.5 minutes left in practice, and we'll see if we can get some of that footage up for you here in a moment.
Yeah, we're looking at pretty close times. Top 1, 2, 3, top 7 are all within the 136s. That is separated by about an 8/10 gap. But this track, it's really just so many tight corners, so much twistiness to it. There's just so many opportunities that you can gain or find yourself making a mistake. It feels like it's maybe been a few weeks since I've really brought it up as an issue for coming up Formula 4 race in the Sim Racers Group Series, but you really can't count on a mistake. One mistake, you can find yourself leading the race, and one wrong spin, one over driving a corner, will find yourself 12th on the grid. It is that difficult to find yourself at the top in this Formula 4 series.
Yeah, and look at that timing tower. There are quite a crowd up at the top tickling that 136 barrier. Lau is almost a 136 flat. McDonald just behind him, and David Hirsch, Novice, Borden hanging around there as well. So looks like these drivers managed to put the time in, get their practice in, and ready to throw down here in Italy. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Again, about 2 minutes remaining in practice. We'll go into a 15-minute open qualifier. And, Kennen, we mentioned tire management out here These laps are pretty short, only 90-second laps. Maybe one of those tracks where it's a good idea to go through about half of the qualifying session, come in for fresh rubber, and go back out for the second half of your qualifying tank here. So what do you think the possibility of seeing some of that is tonight?
I think it's probably a lot higher. We do find ourselves, JR, talking about that a lot, and we often find ourselves kind of slapping ourselves on the back of the hand because most of the drivers don't take advantage of fresh tires about halfway through the qualifying and try to maybe put together two, maybe at best three good like hot lap runs. This track, like you said, we call it a motorcycle track. For a Formula 4 car, you may as well call it a go-kart track. That's really what it's replicating, and I think it's going to put some wear on the tires. I would think if you can go out, maybe learn the track, not that there's really enough time to put rubber down, but you get a good feel for it and how the qualifying session feels. You go put fresh rubber on, give it a little more weight in the rear with a full tank of gas, and it might allow you to really find some success in that final 7.5 minutes come this qualifying session. So I think you're kind of right on the money for what we should expect to see from these drivers in their strategy in qualifying.
Yeah, and it is surprising when we don't see drivers coming in for tires, and maybe it's not us that should be slapped on the hand, but them. And I'll tell you, Ken, as I've said before, I am not Michael, Rolf, or even Willie Schumacher, but I have got some seat time in on these F4 cars, and these tires will hit their sweet spot about 3 laps into a qualifying session and then kind of drop off a little bit. And as I said, 90-second laps, plenty of time to throw down 5-6 laps, jump into the pits for a fresh set of rubber, and have another go with a lightened fuel load. So little surprised we don't see it more, but we'll keep an eye on this qualifying session. It's about to get underway here. Looks like only a couple of ticks left in practice. The virtual world here will reset, and we'll get qualifying underway.
Yeah, I think we're looking forward to a pretty hot and fast qualifying session. We generally watch as soon as qualifying opens. Pretty much every car goes out of the pit lane as quick as they can to start getting their tires up to speed and getting good runs. I don't expect it to really change even with the shorter lap times, but I still am kind of a full believer that the tire management will be a big deal. And if somebody really can find the right line and put fresh tires on halfway through this qualifying session, they can make a really good jump in where they'll be starting for the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And here we go, the mad scramble out of the pits as qualifying begins here. And if you're just joining us for the first time, in the unlikely event that you're just joining us for the first time, we do have an open qualifier here, which I actually enjoy. It mirrors what happens in real life, of course, and can add some strategy. You can pick up a draft and maybe qualify a little bit further up the grid than you might on a solo qualifying. So definitely throws some different strategy, throws some different considerations into qualifying, and as I said before, does create an opportunity to try some fresh rubber toward the end of the session. We'll keep an eye on our pit counters and see if anybody does that. I'm taking a look at David Hirsch right now. That was Chia a second ago. There's Diego Posada in that. I'm going to call that a Lewis Hamilton Mercedes tribute livery right there in that 44 car. But yeah, quali getting underway right here. We're coming to the end of our out laps. So one more lap here. We'll start getting some times down and see how these folks do.
Yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting qualifying session, I think, as we're looking here on the 44 of Diego Posada, and it's obviously got plenty of the lead. Normally, sometimes at some tracks we talk about drafting. I don't really think the draft is going to make any difference in your lap time at this quote-unquote motorcycle go-kart track, in my opinion. So we'll kind of just have to see what it really does. And then even Thomas Brashear, I think he's another front runner. Obviously, one of the quicker cars that we saw in practice. There's plenty of opportunity for things to really flip in the top 10 on where they really finished up in practice, just considering the hour-long session, the way the track changes. This is really an opportunity where we could really maybe see an outlier kind of shine.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look at James McDonald here. He was at the top of the timing sheet in practice, just less than a tenth off of Egerlau, who had the fastest qualifying session. We'll be keeping an eye on him. And you see our sector readouts down there at the bottom of your screen. David Hirsch has got a purple one going, and should be green across the board for all these folks as their out lap is over and they're putting down their first heater. And probably, as I said, about 3 laps, Kennen, for these tires to really kind of hit their sweet spot. So when these times start coming in, we should see some significant bites out of them. And gosh, I wish I was a little more familiar with the track. I'm not sure where we're at right now. I'm wondering if we're on that long back straight section that I was wondering about. Yeah, just a slight kink right here. And yeah, another slight kink right there. Yeah, that's the spot that I was talking about. And I'm thinking into turn 13, that tighter one at the end of that long back section, we could see some fights for position unfolding during the race itself. But yeah, a very interesting looking track, and as you said, Kennen, I think pretty well suited to these cars, and looking forward to experiencing Misano here for the first time, and should be a pretty good race.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things we'll see, especially different from qualifying as we do get into the race, because it is such a tight and twisty corner, the cars that are following the leader will really kind of have an advantage of following the leader. You know, you can see where the car in front is braking. You can kind of roll it into the center and the apex and know when to get off. You can kind of manage your distance, and because of the challenges that the track presents, you're not going to see really anybody. We haven't seen any big heavy hitter just blitzing the field so far from any of the lap times. So everybody's kind of on the same rhythm of pace. It's going to come down to, you know, being able to manage using what the car in front's giving you. You stay behind and then essentially timing the right move to really advance yourself up through the field. So there's a lot of different strategies at this track that we really haven't seen so far in a lot of the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 season. This track is certainly not a track purposely built for any kind of Formula racing, although it really is proving that I think it's going to be quite a good race. And I'm really looking forward to it, JR. I think this may be one of the heavy hitter races that we get all season.
Yeah, very well may be. And in fairness, FIA F3 did run here for several years, so they have those types of cars, no stranger to this circuit. You just saw Edgar Lau deep into the kitty litter there, invalidating what was going to be his first time lap, not the way that he wanted his qualifying session to start here. But right now, up top it is David Borden from David Hirsch, from Guyton, from Bashir, from Vase. And there you see Lau maybe getting a little involved with the curb, upsetting the car and losing his braking ability there, and right off into the dirt. So that lap out the window for Lau. And pole, as I said, David Borden sitting on a 136.9, almost a full second off of what we were seeing in practice. So expect those times to drop off. And just as I say that, Duvall will squeak in front of Borden, but a lot of space here left to significantly reduce those times. And here comes James McDonald. He was flogging that F4 car during practice, also had a very good time, close to a 136 flat.
Yeah, James McDonald has certainly been a real latecomer to this Formula 4 season, but has found a lot of speed. He's really able to get it quite a bit out of the car, and we've been thankful to for the opportunity to interview him after a few races so far this season. He always brings a lot of energy and excitement to the league. I think he's the kind of guy that really kind of challenges and pushes the main front runners so far, and it is quite a good driver. So he's certainly always a guy you can expect up front. He has made several mistakes. Certainly last week he had a lot of mistakes that found him near the end of the field, but he's certainly one of the top drivers, and putting a full race together, you can't count him out.
Yeah, too right. And he's kind of been lingering around the front of the field here for several races. Hasn't been able to put a complete race together. Has had some bad luck and had a couple of errors that caused him to fall out of the pointy end of the grid. And maybe this is going to be the one where McDonald makes it all happen as he prepares himself for next season Formula 4, which of course will also be shown here on Slow Motion Broadcasting starting in a couple of weeks. So we're in week 11 right now as this championship winds down. And gosh, Josh, maybe we should take a look at some of those points if you have them available. And bang, there's Edgar Lau, by the way, 136.2. So as I said, the point into this field is going to be very close to a 136 flat, and Lau showing the way right now.
Yeah, and Edgar Lau, we have to remember he's been out of town the last 2, maybe 3 weeks, unable to race. Really had to take all of his drop weeks in a single touch. And if we all recall, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, Edgar Lau was just turning into an absolute dominant force in this series. So he's got a little bit of time to gain. And there we go. We do see the points up there. Adam Duvall leading with 154 points. David Hirsch in second with 123 points. And then, like I mentioned, our Edgar Lau, he's sitting at 100 points, 54 points behind. But there is no reason to think with a few races left in this season, he could dominate and win all the races and find himself with a chance to win this championship.
Yeah, I'm not sure the math gods are smiling on that last bit. Lau has burned his drops and is about 50 points out of it, but he's certainly spent a lot of time on the podium this season, and gotta like him for a championship perhaps next time. But yeah, there are your season points, and those team names might need a little bit of work though, so we'll send a memo over to Sim Racers Group about that. And meanwhile, up front, it is Lau 136.2, James McDonald 136.6, and McDonald, listening to me, going in for or no, that's off track, I'm sorry, still nobody going in for pit stops, but now it's Lau from Duvall from McDonald. Duvall has jumped in front of McDonald. Then it's David Borden, followed by David Hirsch, and I've got about 6 cars up top, covered by 0.95, so a tight field here as usual.
Yeah, it really kind of is. It's sort of surprising to me that we haven't seen them get down to what their practice times are. Their weather conditions really haven't changed in any bit. They've been dealing with a little bit of a northwest wind, and it's still pretty much the same, only a mile an hour less at the peak so far through qualifying than it was during practice. So all the conditions are the same, and they're still about 2 to 3 tenths off of their fastest time. So I don't know if maybe they're just struggling with the qualifying traffic. We do always note that the traffic they have in these qualifying sessions can present issues, but nobody's just quite put together that perfect lap they found in practice.
Yeah, and practice times might be skewed as well. That practice session was a full hour, and so they had plenty of opportunities to have that those lucky circumstances arise where you get a draft at the right time, get a little tow down that long back section, and take off a couple of tenths. So the shortened qualifying session can kind of expose people who had got some lucky breaks during that long practice session. But having said that, the drivers at the top right now were also at the top of the practice session, including Lau and McDonald. And Duvall looking pretty good right now. Time ticking down though, Kennen. So if these drivers have a lick to white, or a wick to light, alternatively, it's time to make it happen, because they're running out of time here. Probably 3 or 4 more laps remaining. And speaking of that, whoop, there goes McDonald, being Sandy in the B car and finding his way into the kitty litter.
Yeah, McDonald has found himself second on the board. Oh, it looks like maybe Adam Duvall has found a way to jump in to put himself second on the board in qualifying. So James McDonald going back to third, but you can see he's kind of pushing it, and there's a little bit of contact, maybe just pushing a little too hard into Jose Navis. So obviously the Formula 4 cars, they don't have the issue of damage, but I don't know if something like that really cooks the tires. You're better to kind of come back in. And even to your point, I haven't seen a lot of drivers come in, JR. I don't know how many cars that haven't been involved in a spin or incident really thought maybe fresh tires would make them faster. It really seems like every qualifying session, the light fuel load really pays off. And there you see who was at the 55 of Walker Fultz. He was our hard charger last week, really had a absolutely commanding drive to get himself into 11th from a very bad starting position, and a little bit of trouble there. And another car going off of the 1-2-4 of Edgar Lau. Wow.
Yeah, Lau again, and Lau actually did go in. His stationary time was only 8 seconds. I'm not sure if he could have gotten tires in that time, but he did go in, and we'll see if he can make something happen out of that pit stop. He's on his out lap currently, so he'll probably get 1 or 2 laps in following that pit stop. I see somebody coming out of the pits right now. That is Jacob Guyton as well, has stopped. and he had a similar stationary time of about 8 seconds. So they might put tires on these things a little quicker than I thought. So keep an eye on Guyton, keep an eye on Lau, and see if they're able to improve their lot in life with some fresh rubber. Looks like E-Step has gone in as well.
Yeah, that's very interesting, JR, because I would think for the way a Formula 4 pit stop is, 8 seconds seems awfully quick to put 4 tires on the car. And I know some of these drivers, they'll get cheeky. Qualifying is kind of where you can try some different things and maybe it works out and you find a little better grip and speed. It almost makes me wonder if maybe they're not even putting tires on, they're trying to add a little more weight. Maybe they're finding that a little bit of the hot tire staying on and a little more weight's allowing them to move a little faster around the race course. I don't know, 8 seconds seems a little quick.
Yeah, it definitely does. And hopefully one or more of those drivers we'll get to chat with after the race and we can ask them whether or not they did take tires. But I've had, it looks like we've had 2 cars go in, both between 7 and 8 seconds. And I don't have enough experience in these things to comment whether that would cover a tire change. But it is possible. I can't imagine sitting there for 7 seconds and checking your texts or not long enough for a bio break. So I don't know. It's a mystery, Kennen.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Formula 1 cars do change 4 tires in about 2 seconds. So maybe Formula 4, you times it by 4, you get about 8 seconds. Maybe it's reality. Maybe the math is correct on that.
There you go. Well, qualifying winding down now. And let's see. Taking a look over at my timing screen. So looks like Duvall may have parked it here, and Lau may be in good shape to hang on to that pole position right now. Looks like McDonald is still out there circulating, and actually McDonald's last lap was his fastest of a 1:36.6, but that still puts him a little over 4/10 behind Lau. Lau coming in now, probably feeling pretty good about that gap behind. He's got 3/10 on Duvall, 4/10, as I said, on McDonald, and 7/10 back to David Borden. So Lau, as usual, has shown his skills handling this F4 car out here. Looks like he's put himself on the pole. Couple drivers still out here, though, and if you're not familiar with our rules here, Sim Racers Group, if you cross that start finish line before our timer hits 15, you get to complete whatever lap that you're on. But we're looking at E-Step right now. He did not make a clock showing over 15 right now. So looks like there may be a handful of cars that still have an opportunity to improve their lot in life. There is Brashear right now sitting in P9 and not seeing, it looks like I've got a yellow sector for him so far. Borden is the only driver that's out showing a green, so he may have an opportunity to improve his lot in life. But otherwise, looks like that grid is going to be pretty stable where you're seeing it right now. And then it's Lau from Duvall from McDonald up top.
Yeah, Edgar Lau really kind of showed some pace there. I know he was a little off of practice, and you're absolutely right. The time in practice, maybe it's very reasonable to think they'd find 2 more tenths there. But Edgar Lau with almost 3 tenths, and there's David Borden. Borden jumps up a little bit. Is able to jump McDonald, getting a 3rd, which is a really nice run, but still nothing really that competitive to Edgar Lau. We may be watching another Edgar Lau show, but there is certainly quite a bit of competition from 2nd through 6th, and I think when we get to race time, they're going to find a little bit of speed to keep up with Edgar Lau. We've certainly seen it before. Adam Duvall is certainly a notable driver that has found themselves able to hang on at least for the first half of the races with Edgar Lau when he's really proven to have a dominant car. So I don't expect any different here. I do think these drivers are going to give him some competition.
Yeah, and Samudio had a hot one there going and actually did turn in his best lap, but not enough to move him up out of P16. So we're going to have the starting grid for you here in 1 second, and then we'll jump to our feature race here, Formula 4 at Misano.
I think there's a few things while we're getting ready to get all the cars fired up. It looks like maybe about 20 seconds before it's going to kick over to the section. Like we mentioned earlier in the race, tire management's going to be pretty big. There's no opportunity to take a pit stop, and with 16 corners, all very much high to medium speed, it's going to create a lot of tire wear. It's certainly an opportunity, depending on how you're driving the car. You can burn the rears off, could create some issues, possibly some spinning out. You also have to look at turn 1, turn 5, and turn 8. Those are really big overtaking zones. We've also even brought up the way you have to run through turn 3 into turn 4 could find yourself as a braking zone. So there's a lot of opportunity where, depending on how risky a driver wants to be, we'll see some very interesting overtakes. And then when we really kind of get into it as well, the way you kind of have to have that mental rhythm with all the corners, it really creates a huge difference in lap time. But we'll get ready and look at the grid here as they're all starting to grid up right now.
All right, and this session has clicked over. Here is your starting grid. It'll be Edgar Lau next to Adam Duvall in row 1, then David Borden lined up next to James McDonald in 3 and 4, then David Hirsch next to Jose Navas in 5 and 6. Navas pressing himself forward there toward the end of that qualifying session. Then Diego Posada next to Jacob Guyton. Thomas Brashear will line up next to Greg Meyer in row 5. Then Sabura Vaz next to Ryan Chia in 11 and 12. Isaac Ammon will line up next to Walker Folt in 13 and 14. Then Ken Glasser next to Rudy Samudio in row 8. Then Estep next to Cy Nathan in row 9. 18-car grid here in week 11, and we are about to get this one underway. Looks like Lau there in the 124 car, if I have this right, is going to have the outside line into turn 1 here. So he does have a nose ahead of Duvall there, but we'll have to cover Duvall on the inside. Duvall not shy off the start, and I'll tell you, Adam Duvall right now knows that he has very few opportunities to get Lau behind him. The first lap may be his only opportunity to put Lau behind him, and David Borden and McDonald thinking the same thing. And again, they probably do not want to see him drive away, as you mentioned earlier, as can be his habit. But we wait for the lights to go down. Looks like we got about 15 seconds before iRacing forces the start. And man, oh man, imagine sitting in the cockpits of those cars. The adrenaline is going, the engines are revving, you're watching the lights, your heart is pounding, and here we go. Lights are green, lights are red actually, and wish we could see those. They're not they're not showing them in iRacing World, but we are green and underway. Lau gets away very well. It's Lau from Duvall from Borden as they make that dash, very short dash down into turn 1, and Lau already getting a massive gap going there. That is, my goodness, looks like Meyer is in a dice with Brashear right there. There is Navas. Looks like he fell back there. Or no, I'm still showing him in P6. Chia dropped a couple. Walker Folt has moved up a couple. You see a big move right there on cold tires as people are working through that 4, 5, 6. But very clean start and an excellent start for Lau, who's already put down a 7/10 gap on Duvall in second.
Yeah, and this is absolutely not what Adam Duvall wanted to let happen. We see it happen a lot. Edgar Lau has a really good, strong opening couple of laps, and it just seems like he sort of puts the field away, and he's able to drive so much more comfortably. And we saw Diego Posada had a really big shunt there. I don't know if contact was involved. I know Wilkie in the production booth is gonna get that all figured out for us, but really unfortunate to see. He's already dropped down 9 spots. He's able to get past Ken Estep already, now only down 8, but he's really the big loser on the opening lap, spinning out. Everybody else has seemed to be pretty clean so far, nothing too crazy. Adam Duvall obviously started second, he's down to 4th. Didn't quite get the opening once, and wow, what a move by Walker Foltz. The hard charger of last week absolutely sent it on Ryan Chia. And there we see they just have to avoid the 22 of James McDonald, who's gone off. We talked about how tough it is. We've seen him make mistakes before. But man, that is quite a big shakeup. It looked like everything was off to a pretty clean opening lap, JR, and it all kind of goes awry at the end.
Oh, and that is Duvall helping McDonald find his way into the kitty litter. And I mentioned it during the opening. McDonald has had the pace, has been hanging around the front of the field here in Formula 4, but has had quite a run of bad luck, and that run is going to continue. That contact will send McDonald down into P15, a loss of 11 spots, and we may have to take another look at that. That little dive might send Duvall into the principal's office there, although I will say there was a massive amount of net code right there. It looked like enough space to stick a Volkswagen in right there. A horrible, horrible net code, yeah, I don't know, that one was awful close there, Kenny.
I think it really brings up a point we've kind of left out so far in a lot of the breaking news over the last 2 weeks and a lot of the Sim Racers Group Series, from my understanding. But yeah, you're right. The netcode maybe played a little bit into it, but Adam Duvall certainly sent the mail truck in on that kind of move. And the SRG stewards are going to be a little bit tougher if they need to be in regards to a lot of incidental and what we may see as incidental contacts. These drivers feel very much differently in that these drivers know how to control their cars. So we really haven't seen any effects since we've heard the talkings of a little bit more of a stricter hold to the rules. But that may be an incident where we really find something. And there we see the incident that Diego Posada gets involved in. Unfortunately, just a tough collision from the rear. Couldn't quite tell who got into him, but he actually did a really nice job getting the car straightened back out and continue going pretty good. No wonder he's been able to make up a few positions so far this early on in the race.
Yeah, I think that was Guyton in the 64 punting Posada off right there. And my goodness, a couple of rear hits there early. And yeah, you're right, Kennen. There has been some talk of adding stewarding to these races. It had kind of been going on Scout's honor, but some people not satisfied with the amount of contact that's been occurring, and so they're going to tighten the screws on stewarding, and stewards are going to be looking at both of those incidents with Duvall and Guyton potentially getting trips to the principal's office for those contacts. And oof, Guyton giving a little smooch right there to Brashear. So Guyton is driving aggressively here at Misano, and right now up front it is Lau from Borden, from Hirsch, from Duvall, from Thomas Brashear, and oh my goodness, Lau, a gaudy 3-second gap already, Kennen, only 4 minutes in to this 20-minute race.
Yeah, Edgar Lau, he put together a great first lap, and thankfully all this high quality action we've been showing you guys on this broadcast, on the Slow Motion Broadcast Network, Edgar Lau hasn't had to be any part of it, so it's really worked out pretty well. Adam Duvall obviously having that issue, it only makes you wonder if the stewards will incur even more damage to what he's already had. He's down 2, running in 4th, still in a decent spot, but we also kind of missed there. We could sort of see it, but I think Jose Navas maybe did a 180, maybe even a full 360, but managed to drop 3 positions that lap. So he's finding himself in 9th position now, and there's quite a shakeup through a lot of the big points players so far in the opening parts of this race.
Yeah, too right. And we are looking now. I'm sorry, you lost me there for a second. That looks like Brashear and Navas. And yeah, that looks like a little self-spin by Navas there, unless I missed something. So Navas had been kind of riding high at the top of the championship standings for a lot of this season, but has had some bad luck, has had a few unforced errors and some contact with other cars. So bad luck down the stretch for Navas has dropped him, I want to say, into P3 in the championship. So he spent the first half of the season up top, and I know he wanted a good result as a final push here, and does not look like he's going to get one. Take a look at Ken Estep right now in the 66. And yeah, that spot, little over rotation right there. And I think that might be turn 5 there, coming off of turn 4. So a double right. And we're seeing some problems right there. Maybe a trouble spot right there on the track.
Yeah, turn 5 is just a really heavy braking zone. I think the drivers are probably fooling with the brake bias a little bit to have a little more comfortability through a lot of corners. And that is probably one of the most heavy braking zones in the entire track. And it's really finding when they're trying to trail brake in, it's just sending the rear end around. It's just creating the car too unstable, and you almost have to adjust a brake bias for that specific corner. But there we see Posada and Walker Fultz kind of going at it. Posada obviously on a absolute madman run after the incident on lap 1, trying to regain everything he can. And then here's Bashir going by Guyton. Guyton spins around. Looks like he didn't have any help, just a little too much speed through the corner. And I think maybe that's just an overall byproduct of this car and the way the track's built. You're carrying a lot of speed through these corners. It's really allowing the rear end to just let go.
Ooh, and what a move by Meyer on the inside of Brashear, and that's how we do it, folks. Clean, respectful, no contact as Meyer pushes that car through into P5, and that will be a gain of 5 for Meyer. And you know, how often do we see it here, Kennen? A track that we don't have a lot of time at, a track that these drivers are learning for the first time. There are some mistakes, and there is some great racing as some of these drivers get this track dialed in. Of course, some of these folks are driving down at the SRG facility in San Jose, don't have rigs at home, so all of their practice time and the significant seat time comes at the facility. And there's Meyer washing out there, going a little wide. Brashear goes back through after that beautiful pass by Meyer, all out the window there. And as I said, whoop, and there goes Brashear, a little camera shy there and spinning in sympathy. So things a little messy right here, Kennen, and you got to wonder how much of this is unfamiliarity with this tough Misano circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell the drivers are really struggling to get a handle on the course. We've mentioned, I mean, this track is really good. And look on board, Brashear. We were just talking about it, the way you can lose the rear end. You can see just that input on the steering wheel. He does a good job. He's able to carry the speed. Doesn't look like the rear end unsettles there, and comes through the final corner and comes down the straightaway. Is able to make a really nice outside pass, but that fast left-hander turn one onto the final main front stretch, it's just too fast and the rear end loses it. I don't think there was any help involved there, but these cars don't have as much aerodynamic force as you'd think. We're always kind of teeter-totter in that line because they do have front and rear wings, so we all know what it's like when you don't have those, but they don't have anything like a Formula One level car, and sometimes it really bites you when you get into those high-speed, tight kind of corners. It's just so easy to lose that rear end from under you.
Yeah, and I gotta say, our oof, and yeah, you see the curb upsetting the car that time. So wing or no wing, he hit the super bumpy inside green section of the curb, trying to cut that turn 16, and you saw the result there. Got to stay off of that. And again, that's part of learning a new track, learning the track limits. Some of the green inner curbing at this track is smooth, and some of them have huge anti-cut curbs added, and you saw that car getting tossed that time. We'll take a look on board with Walker Fultz. Fultz had a pretty good charge going. Looked like he lost some of his early gains, was hard charger early on, but came out of the grate quite aggressively. Here's Isaac Ammon looking forward at who is it? Oh, looking forward at Vase, and that's Glasser sneaking by him right there. Woo! And that is coming down that pit straight. So I think what we're seeing, Kennen, is people are understanding the importance of maintaining a lot of speed across the apex of 16, getting a good exit of 16 to get a good run down that pit straight, and maybe overcooking it just a bit, as we've seen a couple of self spins there.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think in a way they'd benefit to almost take the corner slightly tighter. They're trying to carry too much speed. They're really opening up that corner, and if the car's able to stick depending on the rear wing, they can maybe make something happen, but it's just not working out so far. And there we see Isaac Ammon going into a pass, and there's McDonald around again. James McDonald just getting by Isaac Ammon and was making a move on Ken Glasser, finds himself spun around in turn one. So obviously a really heavy trouble point. This is just proven to not be James McDonald's race, and now we're looking at Guyton right on Thomas Brashear, which has been a really a race-long battle at this point. It seems like they've been going side by side and corner for corner, and almost contact there between Brashear and Guyton. So they're having everything they can to duke it out. We're really kind of have to see who can settle the victory. This race seems like one of the more quicker races we've had on the SRG Formula 4 circuit. It's really hard to believe that we're already coming up to 12 minutes into this race.
Yeah, laps ticking by very, very quickly here, and some great dicing as always between Guyton and Brashear. These two drivers have pretty similar pace. They spend a lot of time in close proximity out on the track, and you can kind of see it in the way they race each other. Very respectful, leave each other a decent amount of space, and still manage to get some good dicing in. So that is one of the tighter intervals on the track, with Guyton enjoying about a 7/10 lead on Brashear. And Yeah, looks like Walker Foltz has got quite a parade behind him for P11. I got Foltz from Bays, from Eamon, from Glasser, and all those cars separated by about a second. And here they come under that pedestrian bridge there. Foltz trying to cover the inside. It's got Bays all over him with Eamon and Glasser lingering there in the background, ready to pick up the pieces. And boom, there it is, as that was Foltz taking a little spin there. So Walker Foltz, who really, as I said, had something going there, has lost it all. Now all the way back down to P14 where he qualified. And look at the fast hands on Ammon, avoiding Foltz crossing the track backwards right in front of him.
Yeah, that is just an absolutely sketchy situation to have to be in. We're looking at it. Foltz just loses the rear end on his own. We've seen the cars have that kind of rear end issue all day, and just really gets split, almost like a 9-10 split, but for the better. And everybody kind of keeps going. But Walker Foltz, I kind of was expecting him to put together a really good race. He really showed a lot of talent and ability last week, being the hard charger, and sort of expected it again. And he was very much in that position, up 5 spots at one point. And all it takes is one mistake, and you find yourself just right back at the rear end of the field.
Yeah, too right. And just a reminder, folks, this is a fixed setup race. So if you're like me and wondering if maybe a click less rear bar might be preventing some of these spins, they can't do it. They got to eat what's fed to them, and what is fed to them here at Misano may be a little stiff in the ascent, because we're seeing lots of them facing the wrong way on the racetrack. And just a reminder, Edgar Lau still participating in this one, riding easily up in P1. He's got about a 5-second gap back to Duvall from Hirsch, from Borden, from Meyer. And right here we're riding along with Diego Posada, looking ahead at Jose Navas and Ryan Chia. All 3 of those F4 cars covered by about half a second. And here goes Navas, is going to go down the inside, try to get that position away from Chia. And Posada says, oh, that looks like a good idea. Ryan, just keep that clear for me. Don't close the door. Oh, Posada had thoughts there, but it is not over, Kennen. 6 minutes remaining, and Posada looking racing.
Yeah, Posada, I think he knows he had that mistake early in the race. You can't find yourself overreaching too much at this stage, because one more mistake will certainly cost you way more than it can gain you. And Posada has really had quite a nice recovery drive. I think he was down to 18th at one point through that first lap after his spin. So he's obviously shown a lot of speed and really kept it going. So you don't want to find yourself having contact or something that just really creates more issues. But you can see he's still right on Ryan Chia. He's not going to not try to get by him. You just have to make sure you do it the right way, and really have to minimize the risk while trying to complete this pass.
Yeah, some great camera work right there. We're going to call that the McLaren skid plate cam right there underneath Posada's car, looking ahead at Chia and Navas. And be careful, Diego. They're going to be measuring that one after the race. So good luck with that. But yeah, pretty good train there. Again, that is P6, Navas from Chia, from Posada, and about 7/10 covering those 3 cars. You saw Navas get past Chia, and Posada wants to crack at him as well. But just as I say that, Posada getting camera shy, or no, that was Guyton. I see Guyton lingering around there in the background. He's got about a second to join that group, and he's bringing Brashear along with him too. So it looks like the action down the stretch going to be for P6.
Yeah, things are really kind of picking up. Navas is having to do everything he can, and there goes Ryan Chia by. Navas is behind. Navas is dropping off the board. Posada, Guyton, Brashear, everybody's going by. There's Navas. He's found himself in the crash. He's obviously had a mistake. We'll go back and look at that. But just absolutely painful for 3rd place in the points championship, Jose Navas. Oh, man, there we go. We'll take a look back at it. That is, oh, man, just so much speed. How many times, JR, have we seen it on this broadcast so far? Just too much speed through the center point of the corner, and the rear end is unable to handle it. I know you've brought up the fixed setups, but when you know that the wing angle is unable to be changed, you kind of have to learn how to manage it. And we've seen a lot of drivers find themselves on the bad end of just losing the rear end right through a clean corner. That's just so unfortunate to see.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and call it the Boschel theory. Our one of our SMB colleagues here has wondered whether or not that's rear diff action from downshifting at the wrong time in some of those medium speed corners and these things. He may be right about that. And it also could be the rear may be a little stiff out here for this track, as I said. But Kennen, you're absolutely right. You know what you got under you. You've been practicing for an hour, and if the rear end is loose, you got to drive accordingly. And here is James McDonald down 10 positions on his second recovery drive of this race. And man, oh man, I may have jinxed him here early, but McDonald not able to put together a complete race yet. I think he's probably finished in the top 5, but has had potential to do a lot better. And here's Posada looking back from his car at Chia and Guyton, and now Chia is trying to keep Guyton from cashing in. Guyton has cranked him down to about 3/10 time, ticking down here now. About 1:45 remaining, probably 2 laps left to go, depending on what zip code Lau is driving in right now. He's about 9 seconds ahead of Hirsch in P2.
Yeah, and it's kind of shaping up that this may be the best race coming down to the finish that we have, is the race for 6. We've kind of been eyeing Adam Duvall, got by Borden, but looking all pretty handily there. But I just want to bring it back to James McDonald. You're absolutely right. He didn't join the series until week 2. Oh, and then there's major incident. Jacob Guyton able to cleanly go by. Ryan Chia has gone around. Ryan Chia is finding himself dropping through the board quickly. It looks like he's gotten everything kind of back going now, but just dropped about 4 spots right there. And that kind of really even shakes up the race for 6 now. Everybody is kind of all spread out. So we'll go back and look at it, and there's another rear end losing it. I know I brought this up again and again, JR, you've brought it up too, but man, it really just makes you wonder. I do kind of get on the Bushell theory of the downshifting in some of these medium speed quarters, but the way the cars are losing it, it almost seems like it's on the exit. It's just too much mid-speed corner for the grip level that they have through the aerodynamics on the wing, and it's just not able to keep up with the speed they're giving in the turn input. I don't know if it really comes down to the actual gearbox in this situation that we're finding here at Misano.
Yeah, and I've got my eyes on that rear ARB. I think it is a one click too stiff, as Chia finds out there one of many cars who have over rotated, goes hot through that corner, and it's Sia for Ryan Chia. And here is Edgar Lau, not really sure even where he is on the track. He's driving completely by himself with a 10-second gap behind. But wherever he is headed toward the checker here with ease. He set the fast race lap of a 136.5. A couple drivers close to him. Duvall has a 136.6. And those are the only 2 136s I see on the board right now. But it looks like Lau now. Oh, there's the track map. That is handy. Thank you. Looks like Lau is, now we're off of him. Now we're on David Hirsch. But yeah, Lau in the 124. You see him on our track map. He is going to be coming around to take the checker here in a second. Lau's going to win this one easily. And that big fight for P6 has calmed down just a little bit. Now it is just Guyton from Posada with Chia going off, and Brashear has to hold off Nava here down the stretch. And here we are at the start finish again. There is Edgar Lau. He will take the checker and the win with a 10-second lead from David Hirsch. And here comes Guyton and Posada still battling for that P6. That P6 battle has been the highlight of this one, as Guyton is going to try a little peek inside. Here we come to that last difficult Misano corner. Guyton elbows out, maybe a little bit of contact there, but Guyton is going to push it through and capture that P6. And Guyton pushing and forcing the issue, making something happen down the stretch, and is going to get a position out of that good work by Guyton.
Yeah, it's quite a good push there by Guyton. Get the P6 out of all. Just one more lap, he'd have maybe been able to have made a tighter push on David Hirsch. But I'm very excited. I kind of missed the pre-race meeting. I don't know who we'll be thankful for to get into the interview booth tonight, but man, I don't think it really matters who we get in. I hope we get to hear from Edgar Lau and get a comment from him on his dominating performance, but I really want to hear about how this car handled it. Really seemed like maybe it was a very struggling match, and there we see Guyton just wheeling through on Posada. That even brings up, JR. We talk about the gentlemanness that's kind of expected in a Formula 4 race. I don't know how they kind of view that in terms of a clean pass or not, with a little bit of wheel touching there. It'll be kind of interesting to see how possibly this new level of stewarding can affect these races.
Yeah, I think I would call that a racing incident. Guyton leaving plenty of space there. It appeared to me that Posada maybe turned down on him a little bit there, but he definitely had position on entry from the one replay that I saw. But thankfully for everyone, that is not my job. I just sit here and talk about it, and the SRG stewards will take a look at whatever they elect to take a look at. But fantastic stuff here at Misano, and we're going to have the final results for you here in just a moment. Here comes Meyer. There goes Guyton coming across the line, and they must be, I feel like they already got the checker. Not actually sure exactly what we're seeing now, whether that is a replay or not. I, as you can tell, thoroughly confused by my first experience here at Misano. So we muddled through it. Hope it was okay. Sure was entertaining from where we were sitting. And I'll take a peek outside. Kennen, what were your impressions of this battle that we sat here? And I'll take a peek out and see if there's anybody waiting to chat with us.
You know, I'm right with you, JR. This was my first time having the opportunity to commentate a race at the Misano circuit. I haven't really taken the time to race anything here as well. Was a little familiar with the track, but never really got to see it with my own eyes. And really watching it, obviously, if you got into the high-powered cars, this isn't a GT3 type of circuit. But something at the level of a Formula 4 or lower, even especially you think like a Mazda MX-5 Cup Championship type race at this type of track. I mean, I think it really suits this kind of racing well. It really created a lot of opportunities for mistakes, which I think is always good because that means the drivers are being challenged. They're not on kind of the same cookie cutter of courses we've all known our whole lives. And it really presented for some good racing. Edgar Lau really proven to be the dominant driver in the Formula 4 series. Not able to have the points championship. I think Adam Duvall still walked away the points leader after finding himself on the bottom of the step of the podium today. But Misano's quite a good circuit. I hope this is one we get to see them coming back to time and time again in the Formula 4 circuit.
Yeah, too right. And a line forming outside. Let's go ahead and go through those results for you. It is Edgar Lau, who a little bird just told me was going to be promoted to F3 next season. So you'll be seeing him race on Wednesday nights here on Slow Motion Broadcasting next season, and deservedly so with that 10-second gap. Although I will say Duvall managed to best his personal lap, so Duvall's going to walk out of this one with the fast lap. But it's Edgar Lau from David Hirsch, from Adam Duvall, from David Borden, Greg Meyer rounding out your top five. Meyer putting in a good drive, up 5 positions. Then it's going to be Jacob Guyton, Diego Posada, Thomas Brashear, Ryan Chia, and Saburo Vase rounding out your top 10. Vase is going to be followed by James McDonald, whose kind of struggles have continued out here. Sorry, James, you got the speed, and we're looking forward to seeing some podiums out of you next season, because I know you're going to be able to do it. P12, Isaac Ammon, Ken Glasser, Walker Foltz had a good one going, but maybe burned by the stiff rear of this Vic setup like a lot of these drivers were. Novice as well had a couple spinners coming in P15 for a loss of, gosh, what does that make him? Is that right? I don't think Novice did pin it. Oh, Novice might have picked up a penalty. My timing tower is not jiving with these results. But in any event, Samudio in P16, E-Step in 17, then Nathan in P18. And yeah, it does look like Novice picked up a post-race penalty there. I had him crossing the line in P9, but he'll finish in P16 after serving that. So let us take a quick look outside, and got a couple drivers out here, and let's go ahead and start with your 10th place finisher, Ryan Chia. Ryan, you were involved in a pretty epic battle for P6 through a lot of that one. You had a good thing going there, and tell me a little bit about this fixed setup out here. You know, to me, it really looked like maybe a little bit too much rear bar. We saw a lot of spins going out there. So tell me how this car was feeling out there.
The car was kind of, I don't know, it was a little bit loose, especially getting into that middle straight area. You're constantly, or getting into that area, you're like pitching the car left, and then all of a sudden you have to go right and then try to like straight line, and I just lost it. It was really fun though. The guys around me, everyone was battling. I was actually able to go watch a really good battle between Greg and Jacob for a little bit. So yeah, car felt a little bit on the loose end, but it was okay.
Yeah, you were definitely in the thick of the action and got a big chunk of screen time out there today.
Okay.
So, really good race. And what did you think? You know, we have not seen a lot of. I've never covered a race here at Misano, as our audience knows now after hearing me struggle through where the hell were you when different things were happening throughout the course of the race. But haven't seen Misano a lot. So, as a driver, did you like the track, and would you like to come back here sometime and race it again?
Oh yeah, I like the track a lot. Actually, I had just downloaded it right before practice, so this is my first time seeing it.
Wow. And you might not be alone with that, because it's very rarely on the schedule. A heavy motorcycle track and less of a car track these days. But well, in any event, good driving out there today, Ryan. And I know you'll enjoy the broadcast. As we wrap up, is there anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Oh yeah, let's see. I just finished my first Lucky Dog race with my team, so I'll shout out Rotor Rosso Racing. Also, I'm gonna shout out SRG Intermediate League, Advanced League, Jason, everyone. Like, this whole league's setup has actually helped a lot as far as like that Lucky Dog race. I was feeling nervous, but once I got in the car and was around people, it was really comfortable. So a lot of bandwidth because of these leagues. It was really good.
Awesome. Well, hey, congratulations on your first real life enduro. And once you get bitten by that bug, it is a incurable condition. So I wish you the best of luck with your team racing going forward, both in real life and in sim. And thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, JR.
All right. Cheers. All right. That was Ryan Chichichichia. And we will go ahead next, Kennen, and bring in for you Ken Estep.
Yeah, JR, I'm down here. I'm next to Ken Estep, getting out of the car. A little bit of a disappointing kind of look on his face. He did start 17th, came away and finished 17th. Obviously, had a little bit of troubles throughout the race. We did kind of note. But Ken, how are you feeling after this race? I know it was a tough one, but I know you're happy to have seen the finish.
Absolutely. That's always the goal in any of these, is to make it to the end. It absolutely, you know, whether it was my own, you know, I'm not sure what happened with, I have to go back and look. I didn't save the replay. But the first accident, the second spin, as I felt a little bump, I looked to my left, and my 3-year-old is, you know, my great grandson is grabbing stuff off my desk. So I had to look to the left, and that's.
Well, we can understand the frustrations of that, of having to go into a highly competitive sim racer group Formula 4 race and your son ain't watching your grandson. So, you know, may have to find a way to change that for next week. Obviously, you can't have those kind of distractions when you're behind the wheel of such a high-powered car. But we've obviously got a pretty good season we're kind of seeing come to the end here. And I know next week we'll be going to the Barber Full Course, which is a track we've been to before, and I do think you had quite a respectable finish the last time we were there. So what are you kind of looking forward to as we go into the final and 12th week of this Sim Racers Group Formula 4 season?
Exactly right. That's what I saw earlier this week when I was looking what was next. Is I got a good experience with Barber. I'm looking forward to having fun. This is a good track. I really like learning it. I just bought it a week ago, so I did some practice last week and then some practice today. And I gotta say, I gotta do my practice well before the race, because I really didn't feel like I got to enjoy the race because I was too tired from practicing.
Oh man, and you're not. You know, it's funny. We've talked to several drivers through interviews and Even Jose Navas, I think, was the driver that mentioned how they worked so hard to learn a new track, and they found themselves come race time. They'd spent a couple hours before the race working so hard to get good at the track that come race time, they just did not quite have that energy and focus in them that they really come to expect in something like that. And I've got one final question for you, and if you give us a good shout out to your sponsors and people you want to thank for this race. But you've been brought up just how this was a new track, and just the way the cameras look at everything looks so freshly painted, the surface looks so smooth. We did see a lot of cars have a lot of issues through different bumps, and especially losing the rear end of the car. How would you describe just the overall feeling of the circuit? Did it maybe have a little more character than we were really able to show on the television cameras today?
I can't wait to see the race, but I would say yes. Compared to other tracks, I found it did have a groove once you understood where you needed to be on the track. So I had lots of room for racing, so I had high expectations of doing more side by side, but instead it was just run along by myself. It's all good.
No, absolutely, Ken. And once again, I mean, hey, you didn't go down on the leaderboard, up on the leaderboard in today's race. So sometimes when your car's got a certain level of speed and you're able to just create that kind of consistency, you kind of just have to take that and move forward. And I really look forward to seeing you have a good result coming into Barber and really closing this season out strong. So thank you, Ken, once again, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for the opportunity. Shout out to you guys and to SRG for putting this together, and everyone for putting up for my slowness. Have fun.
No, you were absolutely fun to broadcast, and thank you.
All right, that was Ken Estep, one of the newer folks in the SRG ladder, working his way up through the ranks of F4 here. And I'm sure with the help of his friends there at SRG, Ken will continue to improve. And we've got a promo here really quickly before we get on to our coming soon. It is Eliminator Night, the turkey shoot, and there it is. And yeah, if you're seeing what looks like a Miata and a couple of Formula cars on track together, that is how it's going to go. It's brought to you by Ray Esports. You see the sign-up form right there. Go ahead and snap a screenshot of that. It's going to be at Lime Rock Park with chicanes, with eliminating the slow driver off the back of the pack. So Wednesday night, a big drinking night where I come from before Thanksgiving, so it may be a good opportunity to drink and drive at Lime Rock. But folks, we are not just about these fantastic Formula cars here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. We've got great racing many nights out of the week. Tomorrow night we'll be back actually with Sim Racers Group as the F3 drivers visit Road Atlanta. Then this weekend, our Weekend Warriors Formula Vs will visit Okayama on Sunday, and our Weekend Warriors Sunday doubleheader on Saturday, rather. Our Sunday doubleheader will feature Formula Fords at Lebanon and Spec Racer Fords at Jerez. Also on Sunday, XSLR competition will be at Lucas Oil racetrack. I've written right down the last of that one. 1 week from tonight, SRG F4 season finale. We'll be back here at Barber. Barber, a fantastic track for these cars. You are not going to want to miss the season finale for these F4 Warriors. So that is going to wrap tonight's show, folks. My name is J.R. Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner, Kennen Miller, our producer, Joshua Wilkie, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and look at the bright side, at least today, Monday.